So hello and welcome to the latest ATTA webinar. Today we're going to be connecting Africa with Latin America. And I'm delighted to be joined by two fantastic panelists, Andrea Landetta and Altamiro Medici, who will be sharing some of their knowledge on the market, information on traveling between the two continents, and how to successfully market your products in the Latin American market. As always, our webinar is being recorded and the recording will be available shortly after the live session. The chat box is open, so please do let us know where in the world you're joining us from today. As always, we do attract a global audience for our webinars. There will be the opportunity for Q&A, so if you do have any questions, please type these into the Q&A box and I'll be able to address these at the end of the sessions with our panelists. So now, firstly, our panelists. I'd like to introduce Andrea, Director of Terra. Andrea has a deep-rooted passion for travel, with over 18 years experience in the travel industry, working for and with a number of tourism organizations. Furthermore, she is fluent in Spanish, Portuguese, English, and German. So Andrea, great to have you with us today. We're also joined by Altamiro Medici, Regional Managing Partner of AirlinePros, GSA for Airlink in Latin America. Altamiro has over 20 years experience in commercial aviation and tourism and is no stranger to Africa, having spent more than 17 years in a number of different roles at South African Airways. Great to have you with us, Altamiro. So let's just kick off now. So Andrea, I shall hand over the controls to you and the floor is yours for your presentation.
Thank you very much, Chris. And first of all, thank you all of you ATTA members that are joining us here today from all parts of Africa. Let me just share my screen so that I can share my presentation with you all, and then we can start right away. Chris, can I just double check with you that you can see my full screen? Fantastic. Right, well, thank you once again, everybody that is joining us today. We really appreciate you wanting to know more about Latin America, to hear and to connect with us today, which is certainly a great way of building stronger connections, collaborations to bring Africa closer to Latin America. Before I start, I would like to introduce our company, and I hope you can see there our screen fine. AirlinePros, my name is Andrea Landetta, as Chris mentioned, and I'm the founder of AirlinePros. We hold a portfolio of DMCs and hotels, mostly located in Africa, all companies that use tourism as a vehicle to support sustainability, preserve the environment and wildlife, and improve communities' lives. Our deepest motivation comes from our belief that travel has the power to transform lives, and our mission is to join forces with companies like you that inspire travelers, empower locals, amplify culture, and protect the environment, which we believe is so important. We believe also that more than ever, due to this crisis that we have experienced for almost a year and a half, we need to influence travelers to become conscious travelers and that they travel with a purpose. AirlinePros also works closely with ATTA, sharing our members' newsletters on a regular basis. These are newsletters shared throughout Latin America, and we work closely with the ATTA team to train and create awareness of the African continent, the African ATTA members with our Latin American friends and companies that we work closely with. Today, our presentation, we are going to start with an overview of Latin America. Then we will discuss connectivity, where we will have Altamiro Medici telling us more about the connections between Latin America and Africa. We will also discuss ways of attracting more tourism from Latin America to Africa. And for that, I have also invited two special guests directly, one from Brazil and the other one from Mexico, to tell us more about how they have been working with Latin American travelers promoting Africa in the past and also currently with this current situation. And finally, we will also give some recommendations on how you can start connecting your company more with the Latin American market. So to start, well, an overview of how Latin Americans travel. And also I will give some information and some statistics that may be of interest, which we have from different parts of the world, but I will also mention particularly South Africa. The rise of tourism in Latin America and why we should care. Back in the days, traveling was a distant dream for most in Latin America. What was once just a privilege for some Latin Americans, it is slowly becoming part of the norm and part of everybody's dream, and not exclusively to the affluent. And this is mainly due to the growth in the economy of the Latin American countries. And it is important to mention that there has been an important rise of the middle class that certainly also is important in this growth in tourism abroad. Key source markets for Africa, I would say certainly Brazil and Mexico, probably the most important, but also Chile, Argentina, Peru, and Colombia. It may be important to bear in mind that due to the current situation, some of the countries in Latin America have still some restrictions to travel abroad, and some countries still remain with their borders closed, like Chile and Argentina. When it comes to Latin American tourism, the tourism markets, numbers are growing non-stop. Of course, we need to again bear in mind this current situation, but just to give you some examples, for example, in 2019, 77,000 Brazilians visited tourism, Brazilian tourists visited South Africa. Just to give also some other numbers, Mexicans, for example, and these two other regions of the world, Mexicans was the Latin American country with the largest number of international tourists departures in 2018, with nearly 19 million travelers. The same year, for example, Argentina outbound tourism amounted for over 11 million departures. To give also another example, 36% of all visitors to the United States in the recent years came from the Latin American market. This means that more tourists from the region than any other region of the whole world really came to the United States during this period. This generated a profit of $60 billion for the United States. This is almost a fourth of the total amount spent by international travelers in the country. Even though Latin American countries are experiencing some recession, the idea of traveling, I would say, is certainly never been more attractive, and the market is certainly growing quite quickly. Besides the economic growth, I think it's important to mention that because of the penetration of smartphones, internet connection, which has improved all over Latin America, and Latin Americans are quite savvy and love connectivity, love to be connected with the internet. They love to post on Instagram. I would say that Latin American consumers have easier access to information, and therefore they feel more confident as well to buy online. The typical age of travelers in Latin America are between the age of 30 to late 70s. I would say this varies from couples, a lot of honeymooners, families, interest groups. I would say also the 50 plus is a market that has grown a lot because of the life expectancy being much longer. Women solo travelers, I think, is also a very important market to mention. And of course, the luxury market. Nowadays, the luxury travel market is getting more and more accessible, and they want to treat themselves to the best they can afford. So the Latin Americans will really save and really prepare for this special trip, something that they can really remember forever. And this can also mean they are on the lookout for affordable luxury. So focusing on unique experiences in maybe instead of five-star properties. However, it is also important to bear in mind that each Latin American country is very different to one another. The way Latin Americans travel, the length of stay, characteristics will vary country to country. A Brazilian will travel very differently to an Argentinian, for example, which, for example, just as an example to mention, Argentina although has a coast, the sea is very cold, and therefore most of Argentinians will want to travel somewhere where they can also have a beach extension at the end. Whereas Brazilians have one of the longest coasts in South America, so the beach extension is not necessarily a must. So I would say that since this pandemic period and in the recent, let's say in the recent months, probably since last year, around September, October time, some of the destinations that have grown significantly in the Latin American market have been Mexico, the Maldives, Egypt, Dubai, the US, for example, for vaccine tourism, just to mention a few. But I would say that obviously this is not only exclusively to those countries, but it is important to mention that these countries did a particularly good let's say marketing campaign, and they really joined forces to promote their destinations during these difficult times, which made a huge difference to selling these destinations. And for example, Maldives ranked Brazil as top 10 in the market after opening borders. I would say that, of course, Africa is on top of the list of all Latin American travelers, and more so. I would say that now more than ever, Latin Americans are maybe no longer looking to travel maybe in a Caribbean cruise, or maybe even visit Disneyland and have this agglomeration of long queues with a lot of people. They want to be outdoors, they want to connect with nature, and they want to experience something unique. So I would say that certainly Latin Americans are becoming more and more aware of Africa. And this is also to do with the great job that tourism boards have done, such as South African tourism, airlines, of course, DMCs and representation companies, which have created and have helped to create awareness. I would say also something very important to remember is that there is actually quite a lot of similarities with Africa and Latin America. History, culture, this is particularly present in places like Brazil, Suriname, Colombia, Venezuela, which makes it even more appealing as a destination. But also business exchange that has grown through the recent years, also, of course, political and cultural exchange that have had a significant influence in learning more about Africa. And now I would like to call in my dear colleague Altamiro Medici from AirlinePros. Altamiro is going to tell us more about the connectivity between Africa and Latin America, which of course is crucial when we want to connect these two amazing continents. Altamiro, go ahead.
Thank you, Andrea. Thank you very much. Good morning, good afternoon, or good evening to everyone. Thank you very much, ATTA, for having me here in this seminar. It's really a privilege, a pleasure and a privilege for me to talk to you guys and address issues regarding tourism and business between Africa and Latin America. We have been working in this business for many years, and Africa is in my heart since I joined the SAA almost 20 years ago, and it keeps on my heart now, working for AirlinePros and representing Airlink in Brazil and South America. I will talk a little bit about connectivity from South America to Africa. Of course, since SAA left the market and LATAM suspended the operations to Johannesburg, we had a decrease on the connectivity between South America to Africa, which is a pity because travel trade, DMCs, destinations invested quite a lot on building this market, and the demand has grown very fast, especially in the last 10 to 15 years from all South America. We don't have for a short-term forecast for LATAM, for example, to resume the operation to Johannesburg. So we will keep on relying on other hubs to reach Africa. Currently, we have some possibilities, especially via the Middle East, Dubai, Doha. We have a possibility to connect via Addis Ababa. Even via Europe, we have seen some sales via Paris, via Londres, and even via Zurich or Frankfurt. Of course, this is not the ideal situation because we had a 8.5 hours connection via Johannesburg, and now travelers must connect very long routes. But what I feel, and for what I have talking to the travel trade, is that it's not impossible to sell, and we stimulate the travel trade to keep on selling in Africa because, for example, as Andrea mentioned, we had thousands of Brazilians connecting from those hubs to Maldives, for example, during the pandemic because Maldives was open. In some months, we had around, according to the statistics from the tourism from Maldives, around 2,000 passengers from Brazil connecting on those hubs to Maldives. So it is possible, once the destination is open for the Brazilians and South Americans, it's possible to have the passengers flying even using very long connection flights via those hubs. What we have seen in the statistics is that most of the clients are so far from the corporate segment, people from the oil and gas mining segment, and also government officials traveling to many points in Africa. But we have seen also leisure traffic starting from mid last year, and now this year we had an increasing number of tourists going to points in Africa, especially Southern Africa. Of course, nothing compares to pre-pandemic situation, but we see that families and couples are traveling to Africa for many reasons on leisure situations. So the idea is to keep on exploring the markets and offering Africa, and I'm sure that the travel trade is offering Africa to the Brazilian and South American clients. We in Brazil, AirlinePros, we represent Airlink not only in Brazil, but in all South America. And since Airlink turned to be totally independent from SAA, Airlink started to signing a series of interline agreements. So the travel trade is able to sell on those partners, as we see in the presentation, ticket stock, all the way from Brazil to their hubs, and then connecting to Airlink network. So we have a very comprehensive list of interline partners that can be used for the travel trade to issue tickets, including Airlink network on one single ticket. Many tour operators, they don't want to sell two separate tickets because of all implications that we have here. And so it's important to have those partnerships, and they are working quite well in terms of fair quoting and true check-in of baggage, except for a few ones that are not allowed. As I mentioned, most of the traffic is connected via Doha, but all those hubs are possible to be used to connect to South Africa, for example, and from Johannesburg or from Cape Town to connect to Airlink network. Perspectives for the short and medium term. My feeling is that the end of the year holidays, which is the peak season for Brazil from December to February, will be much better than the previous one. Of course, the vaccination is quite advanced in Brazil, for example, and in Chile. And so I think that we are going to have more demand from South America, looking for destinations in Africa. So I think it's important to have your products, all products available for clients and visible for clients, because as Andrea mentioned, people are looking for less crowded places, and Africa is wonderful in this respect. One thing that I want to mention is that as far as we could see on our talks to Latam, we don't believe that they will be flying directly to South Africa this year, probably beginning of next year. They are still struggling with their Chapter 11 situation, but my feeling is that the destination, Southern Africa in general, is a very attractive market for them, and once they deal with this situation regarding the Chapter 11, they will be flying again to South Africa. But again, I don't believe that it will happen this semester in 2021. Another possibility which would provide a short connectivity to Africa is via Luanda. TAG the other day, not released, but a newspaper in Angola released some plans for TAG to resume the operation internationally, and Guarulhos, Luanda would restart in October. It's not confirmed, but the plan is to operate 2 flights per week as from mid-October. If it happens, it will help a lot to connect from South America, because the connectivity via Luanda is shorter. So let's hope that this happens, and let's hope that Latam publish something for the first semester next year.
Thank you very much, Altamiro. So very useful information about connectivity. And so now, how can we attract more Latin American travelers to travel to Africa? How can we achieve this? Of course, I could list a number of recommendations, but I really just want to give just a few points that I think are crucial when we enter the Latin American market. And then I will let the experts also tell us about their markets and in their experience, what are those recommendations to you. So I would say that tailoring product to the Latin American market, their needs and expectations, depending on the country, because of, again, what I mentioned, the differences between each country in Latin America will be crucial. Appointing Spanish-speaking, Portuguese-speaking teams in the offices for inquiries, to answer email, to answer phone calls, as well as local guides in their own language would be very important. I would say even the recommendation of having a representative office in Latin America, your offices, will be key also, not only for the language barrier, but also with the time difference. Creating strong partnerships with the Latin American partners is absolutely key in this market. Not only a strong business relationship, but certainly a very strong bond as friends, as real sort of partners that we can call in case of any emergency, and have your support on a 24 hours almost basis, particularly for emergencies, and particularly when we think about these current difficult periods of traveling during pandemics. Latin America is price driven, so maybe considering a lower profit at the beginning could be interesting to bear in mind. Increasing awareness whilst developing a strong destination brand backed by a competitive product offering will prove to be critical to attracting travelers from emerging markets. That is a very important point. Flexibility, of course, with payment options and awareness of taxes, because they do vary a lot. And particularly with Brazil, there is some very high taxes involved with international payments. So these tax treaties and bilateral agreements are worth keeping in mind. Regular product training, ideally in Spanish and Portuguese, tailored to the client's needs, and trade educational, so fun trips, I think also would be something important. And now I will pass on the microphone to Leila Minatogawa. I hope I said that well, Leila, apologies. General Manager of TGK tour operator in Brazil. She will share with us some of her extensive experience selling Africa for the Brazilian market. Go ahead, Leila.
Hello, everybody. Good morning, good afternoon for everybody. Thank you, Andrea. Thank you, Chris, for the opportunity to speak with so passionate destination like Africa. Yeah, I am in the travel industry for almost 40 years, and the last 22 years working, learning, and teaching about Africa. Yeah. As I can say that for us Brazilians, we have a vast diversity of nature as well, like Amazon, Pantanal, beautiful beaches, and we are a big country with more than 200 million people. So we are very potential public wishing to travel to Africa, with the passion for the big 5 safaris, of course, open air destination, as Andrea said, and mainly to feel the atmosphere and energy that you Africa people have. Okay, so I would like to say that for us that we have carnival, samba, music, and the Africa culture matches everything that we need. Yeah, so I would like to tell you that in 2001 It was my first trip to Kenya, and I was leading a fan trip with 10 travel agencies. In that time, no internet, no cell phone. So can you imagine how the expectation was? Yeah, so we experienced great safaris. We passed among buffalo herds. We saw Kilimanjaro opening the clouds, yeah, just to give us the possibility and lucky to see this great Mount Kilimanjaro. And then we have the experience to be in a Maasai villa. Yeah, we interacted with the community. We bought bead bracelets, a stick from the chief of the tribe that was a honor for us to contribute to local community. So in that time, 20 years before, yeah, I could feel what is the essence, and this is Africa. So we are very passionate about this, and we know that we have to get the information to work with. Yeah, so this is very, very nice to understand. Then from 2002 ahead, I started to attend Indaba every year. Then we are Africa, of course, yeah. But we have the opportunity to extend doing inspection trips, understand about logistics that we have to know, and give this information for the clients. For example, the difference between safaris in national parks like Tanzania, Kenya, and to do in private concessions like Kruger Park, that is very popular here in Brazil. But we face the Kruger National Park, of course, more visited, so sometimes very crowded, and we had to look for another alternatives, yeah, another points of parks to promote. But it's not so easy, yeah. We have to change minds, yeah, and only a marketing campaign, a huge market campaign to introduce new parks, new destinations is necessary for us. We understand also about luggage policies, like Altamiro said. It's very important for us because Brazilian people travel with lots of suitcases, lots of luggage, and this is a very problem to travel in small parks or countries in Namibia, in Tanzania, that we have the light aircrafts with limited luggage, yeah. So we need to explain this very well to the clients in order to avoid problems on check-in. Yeah. To find another point is found tours in Spanish or Portuguese speaking guides, because for us, Brazilian is the only country in South America that speaks Portuguese. So Spanish for us, we can more or less understand, but sometimes the Spanish ones don't understand our mix of Portuguese and Spanish. So we have to find the right partners to go ahead, yeah. And the actions to promote the destination, this is the very important point, yeah. So fortunately, we have the air companies, we have good DMCs, we have the tourism board here in Brazil promoting South Africa, and we are always trying to stay one step ahead. Because it's not South Africa, yeah, then we have the other countries. So this is the selling point, yeah. I think we do a very good job in a follow-up. So when we have clients for South Africa, then we put effort to keep offering another countries, another phase of safaris, yeah. In Tanzania, that is many animals, free space. Then we have in Namibia for the desert, for Sossusvlei Point. We have Botswana, the safaris in Mukoro. So this is what we can offer and stimulate the clients to come back to the continent, to keep Africa every year, yeah. So our potential to sell more and more is on this key, yeah. I can say that with promoting here in Brazil. We are a tour operator, so we attend many travel agencies in all of our country. And we organize events, we organize capacitations, trainings. Our team is also traveling each year. We have some consultants traveling to Indaba or Real Africa to experience the destination. So we became a very specialist, well known in Brazil. So the travel agencies trust on us to have ideas, to know about the doubts, yeah, to organize the trip. So we became the top 5 seller, for example, for South African Airways along the last 10 years before the pandemic, of course, but doing a good job on training our staff and training the travel agencies. So inspiring repeater passengers is another point, another key to keep promoting all countries of Africa here in Brazil. Before pandemic, we had, for example, South African Airways had 7 flights a week. Yeah, and then we got a demand for 10 flights per week as well. So we are very potential, and we need to keep the informations, to be in touch with you, to have the support of tourist board, of the DMCs, of the hotels, and keep working, yeah, with together. So I would like to thank you very much for the support, yeah, of Africa Association, for ATTA, for the tourist boards, everybody. And thank you very much for coming. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Leila. Thank you so much. And last but not least, and just a few minutes before we go to our Q&As and finalize our session today, apologies if we're running a few minutes behind schedule. I wanted to introduce you to Natalia Heras. She's part of our office, of Sariri Terra office in Mexico. And of course, Natalia Heras, better than anybody to tell us about the Mexican market. Go ahead, Natalia.
Hi, I'm Natalia. I'm from Sariri Terra here in Mexico City. So I will talk to you about a little bit about the Mexican market. I have been working in the representation with Andrea for a long time. Here in Mexico, we have been for 8 years. So what I want to tell you about the Mexican market is, as you know, Mexico right now is during a yellow light with the pandemic. So many people is still scared. As you know, the 70% of the people in Mexico is medium low class. So there are other 30% of the people that they have the money to travel. They want to go out. So we right now, even with the pandemic, we are trying to sell Africa. People is going to Africa. Many people here in Mexico have the European passport, so for them it's really easy to travel all the way with a connection of Europe. So one of the things that Andrea said about the Mexican market is in 2018-19, the Mexican market was really a big business for Africa. They were traveling. The people like Africa. They like all the part of the environment, the animals, the experience. And here in Mexico, one of the important things we have for all the hotels and DMCs is that it's a fashion. So everyone wants to go in a honeymoon. One of the issues we have here in Mexico that you can take care of is that the market we have now in Mexico is a high-end market for luxury in Africa. And there's people that have a normal person that wants to go to Africa. So there's many lodges that we don't know, or they don't have a representation in Mexico that people can afford to go, because whenever people travel to Africa, they go to Singita, they go to Great Plains. So everybody thinks that going to Africa is really expensive. I know that it's expensive, but even people can afford going to Africa instead of going to Asia, you know? So one of the things is that in Mexico, building relationships with the travel agencies is important. So that's why I think it's important to have a representation, because even if you come, the hotel, the DMC comes once a year, twice a year, they will forget, you know, because it's not only one company, there's many companies. So having someone in Mexico, in Brazil, to do the rep is important, because they will be every day here. They will every day remember that you have this lodge, the DMC. And for the agents, as I see, it's important, because they will say, ah, Natalia, ah, Andrea, Africa. So whenever they have a trip to Africa, they will have idea of us, and then we will be able to help them to do the part of the trip, even if it's high-end or is normal trip to Africa. One of the other things that I see that we can improve for the Mexican market is, as Altamiro said, the connectivity in Africa, because sometimes when you travel to Africa, many of the people, when they go to East Africa, they travel through Europe. So when they come to Kenya, normally the flight they have is in the night. And for the next night, if they want to go to the Masai Mara, all the flights when I went or people were traveling are in the morning the next day. So maybe having more connections for the part of Tanzania, Kenya, arriving to Nairobi. Another of the things I want to say is nowadays, in Mexican market is in fashion to go to Africa. So if we have some blogger, YouTuber that is going all the way there, they will have the picture of Africa, the animals, or the lodge they stay in. So that's one of the things that we need to promote more, farm trips for the agents, taking Instagram people, YouTubers to the part we want to go, East Africa, South Africa, Nairobi. That's important to increase the market and the travels of the persons to Africa. Another thing we have now is that people nowadays here in Mexico is really in the relationship with sustainable, to the prevention of doing bad things to the animals, the protection of all that. So all the lodges, all the DMCs that are involved in that kind of stuff have a plus for the Mexican market. So that's the points that we have to increase all the sales. I'm talking too fast because I know we are running out of time, but the important thing is to have, as they said, some trainings for the agents, some farm trips for the agents and for the YouTubers, Instagram people, so we can increase the sales in Mexican market. The Mexican market is really important. People in Mexico love to go to Africa. So they will continue like that, as we have seen right these days. People is starting to coating and they're not afraid to go, you know. So it's a really, really big market, important market that we can improve the going out. As we know, Mexican people goes to East Africa, South Africa, Namibia, Zimbabwe. There's another countries that we can visit. People is starting to go. I know that is now is North Africa, the part of animals, but people is starting to go to Marruecos, to Egypt. So that kind of DMCs or that kind of operation that we have over there that is not really well known in Mexico, it will be a good option for them to be presented here in Mexico, so people can go and say, we can go to Marruecos, we can go to Egypt, we can go to East Africa, Rwanda and Uganda. People doesn't know the difference between one and another one. They know that is here is expensive lodge, here is not so expensive. So all that knowledge of the country to see the gorillas, it will be really nice of somebody over there that is in the government, that is in a big DMC, can tell us all the information about that so we can pass it through the agents. And that's all what I will say.
Thank you, Natalia. Thank you very much for that information. Certainly in Mexico, it has a huge potential, and we have seen it increasing more and more, even now during these difficult times. Chris, I'll let you lead the Q&As.
Great, thank you, Andrea, and thank you to everyone for those fascinating presentations. It's really good to get that useful insight as to what the market is like, what people are looking for, etc., etc. So we do have the opportunity for Q&A. If anyone does have any questions, please pop these into the Q&A box and we'll be able to address them. One thing that I think is universal for any destination is it's building those relationships and not expecting a result immediately. You do have to build the relationships with the trade locally, but also provide that first-hand knowledge. We all know that there is nothing that can beat that first-hand knowledge. So we need to get more people out to Africa as and when they can. So we do have a question, and I think Natalia would be best to answer this one. It's from Jason with regards to the Mexico market. Which months are the general booking months in for Mexico, and generally which months do people travel?
Mexican people travel in normally June, July, August, November, December, and April. But for the people that go to Africa, they will get the point of view of the agent, because they know that to see the crossing of the animals, they know there will be August, September, October. So they will be pleased to know that the dates that the agent, they will tell you October, November, you choose, or September, October. So it will be easy for the people about telling the agent. The agent will tell the dates to the client, but normally are those days, the holidays. And I will tell you something about the Mexican market I didn't say. Mexican people like to travel with families. They like to travel with the kids. They like to travel with the grandpa, with the grandma. So there will be a big group. It will be couples, or will be a family, and will say, I don't care, my kid is 4 years old, I want to take it. So it's that thing is important, because they will have to have a lodge that have connection in the rooms,
That's fantastic.
Okay.
Okay, well, if we don't have any further questions, we will look to wrap up now. So Andrea, thank you very much for pulling the panel together. And it's been a very insightful session. So thank you all. Thank you to everyone who has joined the session. We will be, as I mentioned earlier, it has been recorded. So if you did miss anything, please keep an eye open for the recording, which will be coming out shortly. We'll be sharing relevant contact information, plus I'll also be sharing Jason from Airlink's contact information if you are wanting more information with regards to the interline agreements or anything across the African continent. So keep an eye out for future webinars, and I hope to be doing more with the Latin American market. So thank you all.
Thank you very much, Chris. Thank you, everybody. Thank you, my colleagues, Natalia, Leila, Altamiro. Thank you so much for joining me here today as well, and sharing some very useful information. Chris, thank you very much for organizing. And once again, thank you so much to everybody that has joined us from different parts of Africa, and hope to maybe welcome you here in Latin America sometime very soon. Thank you very much.
Bye-bye.
Thank you very much.
Thank you very much.